Hello guys and welcome to my channel. So in this video we'll be discussing limits which is a very integral part of calculus, that is it determines your grip upon continuity as well as differentiability. Okay, so starting from limits we'll start with the definition. First of all, what is a limit? Okay, so looking at the definition, it starts with if x tends to a. So first of all I want you to pay attention to this x tending to a. That does not mean that x is equal to a. This means x is very close to a but not exactly a. So if your x is tending to a and a function f of x, let's say when x is tending to a, f of x tends to a value L. For your x tending to a, not exactly a, f of x is tending to L. Here also f of x is not exactly L but it is tending to L. So what do? Is we write limit x tending to a, f of x is equal to L. So limit is denoted by limit x tending to a, f of x. Okay. Now what does this really mean? It means that when your value of x is tending to a, okay, when your value of x is tending to a, let's say this is your a on the number line. Okay, the value of function f of x, it is tending to L. Okay, let's start with a basic example. Let's say your f of x is, let's say x. Okay, now a we are taking as 1. If we take a as 1, now x is tending to a. Now your x can tend to a either from the left hand side or from the right hand side, right? We can tend to a either from this side or we can tend to a either from this side. Okay, now as I said, x tending to a means what? X is very close to a but not exactly a. So when we are tending, let's say from the left hand side, I'll make this point, it is very close to a. I'll name this as x is equal to a minus h, where h is a very small, infinitesimally small quantity. And while you are tending to a from the right, I'll name this point as a plus h, which is also again very close to a but it's from the right hand side. Okay, now here we can define two types of limit. First, when we are tending to a from the left hand side. So when we are tending to a from the left hand side, we'll generally write it as limit x tending to a minus. We write it as x tending to a minus because we are tending from the left hand side of a, f of x. And let's say this value comes out as m. Okay, this is known as your left hand limit. We call it as left hand limit, LHL. In short form we'll write it as LHL. Again, we can tend to a from the right hand side also, right? So we denote it as right hand limit and we write it as limit x tending to a plus f of x. Let's say this value comes out as m. Okay, now going to the basic, the first function that we took, for example, f of x is equal to x and a was 1. Okay, so if you look at 1, you can tend to 1 either from left hand side. Okay, so let's say this is your 1 and I have taken a very close value to 1. Let's say it is 0.999999 and so on, but it's not exactly 1. Okay, so if I write f of 0.999999, that would mean what? That would mean it will be exactly 0.9999, or I can also write it as approximately equal to 1, right? So this thing I can write it as limit x tending to 1 from the left hand side because this value is very close to 1 from the left hand side, and the value that f of x is approaching at this is 1, right? Same thing we'll do for some value very close to 1 but from the right hand side. Okay, for 1 plus h. So let's say I take it as 1.000000000 and lastly 1. It's again a very small value, almost equal to 1 but not exactly 1. Again I can write f of this value 1.00 and so on till 1. It will approximately be equal to 1, not exactly equal to 1 but it is tending to the value 1. Okay, so we can tell here that limit x tending to 1 plus f of x is also 1. So this, guys, is your right hand limit and this is your left hand limit. Okay, we'll get into details afterwards. Basic definition of limits is if you are tending to a particular value of x, either from the left hand side or from the right hand side. Okay, there are two types of limits, left hand limit, right hand limit. So when you tend to the value from the left hand side, this gives you the left hand limit of the function at that particular value. For example, in this. And when you are tending from the right hand side, right hand limit gives you the value to which the function will be tending when you move to the point. So I was talking about some functions are there in which there is a break in the graph. Let's talk about the function f of x is equal to x square minus 1 upon x minus 1. You already know how to find the domain of a function. Okay, so if you look at this function, it will be undefined at x is equal to 1. Why? Because the denominator is becoming 0. Okay, so if we try to draw the graph of this function, it will be somewhat, okay, if you try to simplify it, it will be not defined at x is equal to 1. So it will be not defined at x is equal to 1. Okay, before at x is equal to 0, what will be the value? It will be 1. At x is equal to 0, the value will be 1 and the function will be somewhat like this and open at 1. Okay, so this function is having a break at x is equal to 1. Now we wish to find out the value that it is approaching to, or the limiting value of this function at x is equal to 1. So that's where we apply limits. Okay, now this function, what we'll try to do is we'll try to find out the limit of this function at x is equal to 1. And how do we do it? We first find the left hand limit and then the right hand limit. Okay, so let's find out the left hand limit for this function. Limit x tending to 1 from the left hand side, f of x. F of x is what? X square minus 1 upon x minus 1. Or I can also write it as limit x tending to 1 from the left hand side, x minus 1 into x plus 1 upon x minus 1. Okay, so now can we cancel this x minus 1 in the numerator and x minus 1 in the denominator? Yes, of course we can cancel it out, because when we don't cancel out is when the value of x is exactly 1. That is when this is becoming exactly 0, this is becoming exactly 0. When the denominator becomes exactly 0, that's where the function is not defined and you can't find the value. But right now what we are saying is x is not exactly 1, it is tending to 1. So this value, it will not be exactly 0, it will be some finite value. So this value and this value will get cancelled out. Right? Now if I substitute x as 0.9999 something, the value that this will give me will be around 2, right? In the same way, we'll try to find out the right hand limit of this function. Again, limit x tending to 1, but this time from the right hand side, x square minus 1 upon x minus 1. The same process again, limit x tending to 1 plus x minus 1, x plus 1 by x minus 1. And now here again, this value is not exactly 1. So this value will come out as somewhat positive value, positive finite value. This value will also be somewhat positive finite value. Hence we can directly cancel this out. And again, if we substitute this value, this will be 1.0100000, very, very close to 1, but not exactly 1. So this 1 plus 1.00 will again give you a very, very close value to 2, or we can directly write it as 2. Okay, so from here what did we get is, we got that the function, when we are approaching to 1, the function is approaching to 2 if we are coming from the left hand side. It's again approaching to 2 when we are coming from the right hand side. Okay, so when this case happens, when your left hand limit comes out equal to the right hand limit, and again both come out as finite quantities. This is 2, this is 2 finite quantities. They both come out as, say, let's say the value is coming out as L, and which is a finite quantity. When your left hand limit is equal to right hand limit and that both are equal to a finite quantity, we say that limit of f of x at x is equal to a exists. It is the approximate or limiting value of your function at x is equal to a. It's not the exact value of the function at x is equal to a, because your function at this point is not defined. So we can't just directly find out f of 1, but we can find out its limiting value at x is equal to 1. Okay, so this is what the basic concept of limits is. Many graphs, they are having discontinuities in between, breakages in between, and for most of them we are able to find out the limiting values at some points. Some graphs are there, even using limits we are not able to determine the limits. We'll see it in more details when we'll study the indeterminate forms of limit. So guys, up till now what we have seen is, how to find the value of limits. Okay, so basically I'll try to list all the things that we have studied up till now in a particular orderly manner. So first thing is, how do we define limits is for when x is approaching to a. When x is approaching to a, let's say your function f of x is approaching to L. So we denote limit x tending to a, f of x equal to L. This is nothing but this tells us what? That when x is approaching to a, your f of x is approaching to L. This is how we define limits. Okay. Then the second thing was, when we approach to a, there are two ways of approaching. First is left hand limit and the second one is right hand limit. Left hand limit is when we are approaching to x is equal to a from the left hand side, that is very very close to the value x is equal to a, but from the left hand side of the number line. And IRHL is when we are approaching x is equal to a from the right hand side, very very close to a but towards the right of a, not exactly a. Okay, here x tending to a does not necessarily means x is equal to a. Third thing, when do we say that limit exists? We say limit exists when your left hand limit, that is limit x tending to a minus f of x, comes out equal to your right hand limit, that is limit x tending to a plus f of x, and let's say this comes out to be a finite quantity L. Keep in mind guys, this must be a finite quantity, both must be equal, then only we say that the value of limit of f of x at x is equal to a will exist. Now why do we need this to be a finite quantity? Okay, so I'll tell you this with an example. Let's say I have a function f of x is equal to mod of 10x. We have function f of x is equal to mod of 10x and we have to find limit x tending to pi by 2 f of x. Okay, you have the function f of x is equal to mod of 10x and x tending to pi by 2. So first I'll try to draw the graph of the given function. Okay, f of x is equal to mod of 10x. So here it is pi by 2. All of you know how to draw the graph of mod of 10x. It will be somewhat like this. This is from minus pi by 2, it will be again tending to positive infinity, and again it will start from here like this, pi and so on. So this will be your graph for f of x is equal to mod of 10x. Now where do we need to find the limit is at x is equal to pi by 2. Okay, so again we'll start with the same process. First we'll find out the left hand limit. Okay, so the left hand limit will be limit x tending to pi by 2 minus mod of 10x. Okay, so if we move just to very very slightly close to pi by 2 from the left hand side, where is this value tending to? The value of the function is tending to where? It is tending to infinity. Okay, so I can write this will be tending to infinity. Again, if I look at the right hand limit, this was your left hand limit. Again, if we look at the right hand limit, it will be limit x tending to pi by 2 plus mod of 10x. Now here what do we do is, we look for a value which is approximately equal to your pi by 2 but just towards the right of pi by 2. So let's say this value we are looking at here. Again, if you look at the graph here, it is again tending to what? Infinity. So I can write this value is also tending to your infinity. Your left hand limit, right hand limit, they both are tending to infinity. So you must think that both are coming out equal. So we can say that the limit of mod of 10x is pi by 2 is also tending to infinity. But guys, remember one thing, you can never compare two infinite values. We don't know whether they will be equal or not, whether they will be very very close or not. Hence, whenever your limit of left hand side or right hand side, even if they are coming out as equal and both equal to infinity, we will say limit does not exist. There has to be a finite value of limit for both the left hand limit and the right hand limit for the limit to exist. Okay, so this is your third point, that is for limit to exist, your left hand limit and right hand limit, first of all both must be equal. Second thing, the value of the limit must always be a finite quantity. Got it? Okay. Moving on. Okay, moving on to the next thing, that is indeterminate forms of limits. So basically there are 7 indeterminate forms of limits and they are interchangeable. Okay, so I'll be listing all of them and I'll be listing them in group of 2 types. Okay, so the first type is infinity by infinity, 0 by 0, infinity minus infinity, and 0 into infinity. Okay, all these forms I have listed them together because they all are interconvertible. We can change this form to this form, this form to this form. Okay, second type of limits are 1 raised to power infinity, infinity raised to power 0, and lastly 0 raised to power 0. So these are your 7 indeterminate forms. Okay, again one more thing you have to keep in mind in this is what? Whenever we talk about this 0 by this 0 or this infinity by this infinity minus infinity or infinity into infinity, what you must keep in mind is if this value in 0 by 0, if both numerator and denominator are approaching to 0 and not exactly 0, again I am saying this will be indeterminate form only when this will be approaching 0 by approaching 0. That is both the numerator as well as the denominator, both the values must be approaching to 0 and none of them should be exactly 0. What happens when any of them is exactly 0 is, let's say if denominator is exactly 0, so I'll write denominator is exactly 0 divided by some value which is approaching to 0. Okay, so this is what, this is not exactly 0, hence your function is this value will still be defined and will be exactly equal to 0. This will be exactly equal to 0 and not a indeterminate form. Alright, again let's say instead of numerator, your denominator is exactly 0 and numerator is approaching to 0. Again I'll write approaching to 0 by exact 0. Here denominator is exact 0, this value is some finite quantity. Any finite quantity upon 0 will always be tending to infinite, or this value will be not defined, right? Infinite, or we'll say this value is not defined. So remember one thing, whenever we talk about indeterminate form, this value 0 by 0, here the numerator will also be approaching to 0 and the denominator will also be approaching to 0. Same is the case here. Same will be the case here. If this value is exactly 0, 0 into anything will always write directly equal to 0. Clear? Here also this must be approaching to 0. Now we come to the set of these limits. Okay, first we'll talk about 1 raised to power infinity. Again, if this is exactly equal to 1, anything 1 raised to power anything is always equal to 1. So again here this is also, this value must be approaching to 1 while this value is approaching to infinity. If this value is exactly 1, 1 raised to power anything will always give you 1. Okay. Next, here also infinity raised to power 0, 0 raised to power 0. Both these values must be approaching to 0. Here, if this is exact 0, you will directly write it as 0. If this is not 0, but this is exact 0, you will directly write this as equal to 1. So this is the basic difference between limits and the exact values of the function. This is not exact 0, this is the value which is approaching to 0, maybe just less than 0 or maybe just greater than 0. So these are your 7 indeterminate forms. We'll study in detail removing these forms, how do we find out limits whenever your function is given in these forms. Okay. Next is, these were your indeterminate forms. Okay, many of the students get confused with indeterminate forms and determinate forms. Okay, so I'll write down some of the forms. Let's say infinity plus infinity, infinity into infinity, infinity raised to power infinity. Okay, these forms, infinity plus infinity, very large value plus very large value, again it will give you a very large value. We don't say this as indeterminate form, but we'll directly raise this value as approaching to infinity. That is a very large value. Again, when you multiply two very big values, two infinite values, this will also be approaching to your infinity. This value is again very large, approaching to infinity will always give you what? Infinity. Okay, again moving on to some of more forms. Let's say limit x is tending to infinity. Limit x is tending to infinity, and you are having what? Some value a raised to power x. Some value a raised to power x. How will we look at it? Okay, so let's say first of all we'll divide it in three cases. First case I am taking is when your a is less than 1. When your a is less than 1, this is an exponential function. Okay, when your a is less than 1 greater than 0, this value will be a very small value. X is tending to infinity. So if you have any value less than 1 and you start squaring it or cubing it, the value keeps on decreasing, and if you multiply this value to itself infinite times, this value tends to what? It will be tending to 0. So whenever you get an expression like this value, some value which is less than 1 tending to infinity, you will always write it equal to 0. Again, if your a is exactly equal to 1, if your a is exactly equal to 1, not approaching, it's exactly 1, okay, in that case this value 1 raised to power anything will always give you 1. And lastly, the third case, when a is greater than 1, maybe just a bit, 1.000001. Okay, so if any value greater than 1 is multiplied to itself multiple times, the value keeps on increasing, and when you multiply the same value to itself infinite times, this value again will be a very large value which will be tending to infinity. So whenever you get these type of terms, what will you write? You'll write that if a is less than 1, this value will be tending to 0. If a is equal to 1, exactly 1, this value will be 1. And if a is even slightly greater than 1, this whole value will be tending to infinity. Clear? Okay, so now we'll look at some of the example graphs, okay, before moving into indeterminate forms in details. Okay, so we'll look at some examples here. So first example is limit x tending to pi by 2 f of x. The graph of f of x is given to you here. We have to find the value of limit at when x is tending to pi by 2. Again we'll go with the same approach. First we'll see the left hand limit. Okay, so the left hand limit will be very close to pi by 2 to the left hand side of pi by 2. If you want to find out the value at just close to pi by 2 towards the left hand of pi by 2, this value from the graph, you'll get it as approaching to 1. Next is the right hand limit. We'll find out some value very close to pi by 2 on the graph when we are approaching towards the right from the right hand side to pi by 2. This value will again, it will not be exactly 1, somewhat less than 1, but we can say it is approximately equal to 1. So in the first graph, in the first function, you are getting left hand limit equal to right hand limit equal to 1, which is also a finite value. So you can say that the value of limit at x tending to pi by 2 will be 1, or I can write this as equal to 1. Limit exists and is equal to 1. Okay, coming to the second example, again what you have to find is limit x is tending to 1 f of x. The graph of f of x is given to you here. Okay, so if you look at the graph of f of x, first again we'll find out the left hand limit. We are approaching from left hand side towards 1. So at very close to 1, very close proximity 1 to the left hand side of 1, the value of f of x is tending to 1. Next, if you move to the right hand of 1, just towards the right hand side of 1, let's say x plus h here. Now the value of f of x here will be somewhat close to 2. So from here you are getting value of right hand limit is 2. Left hand limit is not equal to right hand limit. That means limit does not exist. The limit will not exist. Okay. Moving on to the next question. What we have is, we have the graph of f of x and we have to find the value of limit for a is equal to -1, 0, 3 and 5. So we'll start with -1. Okay, first of all, at a is equal to -1, we have to find limit x tending to a f of x. So when a is tending to -1, so we don't have any value for the left hand side, right? We don't have any value for the left hand side of this function. Okay, so what do we do is, we write LHL is not there, the function is not defined for the left hand side of -1. LHS is not there, RHL is there, but we can't say both will be equal. LHL will not again be equal to RHL, and we'll say limit does not exist. Next, for a is equal to 0. For a is equal to 0, if you look at the left hand limit, if you look at the left hand limit for a is equal to 0, the value at a is equal to 0 minus will be tending to, let's say this is 1 and this is 2. So this value will be tending to 2. So at a is equal to 0, left hand limit is coming out as 2. Let's talk about the right hand limit. If we talk about the right hand limit, the right hand limit at x is equal to 0 will be 1. Again, left hand limit is not equal to right hand limit. We again say that the limit does not exist. Third, when a is equal to 3. When a is equal to 3, see, function is not defined for x is equal to 3. But again, what we have already seen is, even if the function is not defined for some value, there may be a limit associated with that function at that particular point. So at a is equal to 3, if I look at the left hand limit, the left hand limit will be 1. The right hand limit, again, if I look at anything to the right hand side of this, it will be 1. Left hand limit is equal to right hand limit. That means the limit exists. So I can write limit x tending to 3 f of x is equal to the value which is finite, coming out as 1. And lastly, at x is equal to 5. For a is equal to 5, left hand limit you will get it as 1. But you don't have any right hand limit, right? The function is not defined for x greater than 5. You won't get any value for right hand limit. Again, I can write is not equal to the right hand limit, and when LHL is not equal to right hand limit, what do we say? Limit, the limit will not exist. Limit does not exist. Clear? Okay, so from this example, I want you to know one more thing. If you look at -1, if you look at -1, f of -1 is defined. You know the value at f of -1, but the limit at x is equal to -1 is not defined. So from here, what can we say is, first point, f of a can exist, but limit x tending to a f of x may not, right? If you look at -1, f of -1 is there, but the limit does not exist. Second, if you look at 0, the left hand limit is not equal to right hand limit. F of 0 is 1. Right hand limit is equal to f of 0 but not equal to left hand limit. Here also, f of 0 is existing but the limit is not existing. Third, if you look at 1, left hand limit at 1 will be 0, right hand limit at 1 will be 0, f of 1 will again be 0. So here what we are getting is left hand limit is equal to right hand limit. That means the limit is existing and it's coming out as 0. F of a is also existing, that is f of 1 is also existing and again coming out as 0. So in this case, what can we say? That limit as well as your f of a can coexist. Right. Now I'll give you one more example for this thing. F of a may not exist, but limit x tending to a f of x may exist. What it is trying to say is, your function might not give you any value at f of a. That means the function might not be defined at x is equal to a, but you can still get the limit of x tending to 8 f of x. We have seen already in the example that was x square minus 1 upon x minus 1 when your limit was tending to 1. When your limit was tending to 1, the left hand limit also came out as 2. The right hand limit also came out as 2. That means the left hand limit and right hand limit were equal. So limit was equal to 2. LHL was equal to RHL was equal to 2. But if I ask you f of 1, if I put x is equal to 1 here, the denominator will become exactly 0 and this value will become not defined. So here f of 1 does not exist. Okay, so from here what you can learn is f of a may or may not exist, but still the limit can exist, or even if the limit does not exist, your f of a can exist. They both are not interlinked. Okay, so that's it for the basic part of the limit. Next is we are going to cover up the indeterminate forms of limit, and we'll start with some of the basic examples again from this, and then we'll move further. Thank you very much guys. Enjoy.